Hey, Taylor Kia, Findlay fans. This is Jim Walsh here at Taylor Kia, Findlay, the General Sales Manager. And what we're doing here today is our very first Community Star. Joining us today is Findlay High School coach, Mark Ritzler. How you doing, Coach?
I'm doing good. It's great to be here today. And I just want to say, for what you're starting down here, what you're trying to do, especially promoting those kids and those athletics, that's awesome. That's an awesome thing for you guys to try to do.
Thanks, we appreciate it. And I know you said emphasize star there. We're going to start building this resume and let people know more about just, hey, you're the football coach. You know, you graduated from Findlay High School in 1986.
Yep.
Right? And from there, while you were there, you were a three-sport star, if I'm not mistaken, right? Football, basketball, and baseball.
I was a three-sport athlete there, and was fortunate enough to be around. We had some good teams there when I was there, and some good players, some really good coaches. You know, whatever found my way, was able to play early on as sophomores in football and also baseball, and then basketball. Coach Renz, was just fortunate enough to be around him, and probably he, along with Coach Dick Strom at the university that I played for, were probably the two most influential coaches that I ever had. And Roger was an old school guy. He kind of reminds you of the guy from Hoosiers, where it was going to be done his way and the basics and so forth, and just enjoyed playing for him and learned a lot from him about discipline and work ethic and so forth. But you know, just loved my time. Wish wish we would have had maybe a little bit more success at that state and regional level, but enjoyed my time there. Enjoyed being a Trojan. Being out on Domhnall Stadium was awesome, and playing in that gym was just, you know, those things I'll never forget.
Yeah, those are great, and being basically the statistician or one of the announcers for Findlay High School for basically the last 20 years, Tim and I, whatever, I'm right there at the scores table watching you guys and everything, watching the kids you coach that we're going to talk about here a little bit. But I was in 7th grade when you graduated.
Okay.
So while you're in high school, there's one specific basketball game that I remember, Lorraine Senior. Yeah. You went off for 33 points, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that was on the road. Okay, that wasn't here. It was at Lorraine High, and funny enough, that's the one game in high school that my mom and dad didn't go to. For whatever reason, that's something wrong. Dad worked late or whatever. But that was the one game he didn't go to. They didn't go to, and that was the one I went off for 33. And I always tell everybody, make sure you know there was no 3-point line back then. Okay, they were all 2s and 1s back then. So it was a fluke. I don't know how it happened. It was one of those nights everything just went in. They were all probably within 3 feet of the basket because I could not shoot at all. But that was a fun night. Yeah, the one game that mom and dad couldn't go to.
Rich and I were looking up some history or whatever to find and make sure we had the dates and stuff right for this this interview with you, and we found the article for that.
Oh, really?
In the article, it reminded us that was actually the highest scoring game of the season for that conference.
Yeah, it probably was. And I think I still might be like the top 15 all time in Findlay High School, which is kind of surprising with all the, you know, how scoring's ramped up in the 3-point line. But it was a fluke of a night, that's for sure.
So you graduated from Findlay High School, went on, like you already mentioned, played football 4 years at the University of Findlay for Coach Strom.
Yeah.
Always heard just wonderful things about Coach Strom and the years that he's been there, and a lot of people from Findlay.
The thing about him, and I've known him for a long time, he kind of lived in our neighborhood, and he and my dad actually coached softball together for a long time, so I knew Coach for a long time. And I'll never forget my recruiting visit was, you know, you read and see on TV about, and the internet about recruiting visits and how they get wined and dined. Well, Coach Strom took me to J.D. Ritzy's, and I probably paid for his meal there at that too. That's how Coach ran. But he took me down there, and we just talked about football and a little bit at J.D. Ritzy's, which is a small little restaurant that's not even around anymore, like a Hardee's or something like that. And we sat and had a drink and had a sandwich, and at the end, he told me this, that, and the other. Okay, you want to come to? Yes, Coach. Yes, I'm coming. So was what Coach Strom's greatest strength is that you knew in your mind the Sunday before the game. You had your meeting on Sunday, all week of practice, and then you played on Saturday. You won the game on Sunday. You could sit in a meeting with him, and every player in that meeting room was ready to run through a wall for him because of the way he was able to motivate you. You know, a way to encourage you, but you do anything for that man. His greatest strength wasn't X's and O's, it was motivation, and he was a master.
That's master. I heard a lot of really good things about Coach Strom. I've run into him a couple times, but it's more on the business side, so we really get a chance to talk about the football side of things. So from there, though, you actually went, after you graduated, you basically went right back to Findlay City Schools, right? I mean, you got hired right away.
Yeah, you know, kind of college was kind of in and out for me a little bit, like some people were, and I ended up, my 8th grade coach, John Miller, who was a science teacher at Glenwood Middle School, knew I was in town, and at the time I was taking classes and also working at a place called Findlay Electric Supply, which is downtown, kind of working in the warehouse there, making a little money on the side. And he knew I was in town and contacted me and said, hey, be interested in coaching some freshman football. We just hired a new head coach, Jim Caserta. So it was first year, and he was looking to fill out his freshman staff. And John, who was one of my favorite, not only coaches, but was probably the best teacher I ever had. I loved his 8th grade science class. I just loved everything about him. Just a great motivator, a lot along the lines of Coach Strong. He said, you want to coach? And I jumped in there and really thought I knew football until you start coaching it, and then you realize you didn't know anything about football. But I was fortunate enough to coach along with him for 1 year as a freshman football coach, and had a blast.
That's awesome. Now, so you ended up being there for 30 years coaching football, if I'm not mistaken. Is the number, right?
Yeah, it is incredible. When I think back about it, it seems like it was about 12 years or something like that. It was like I was with Jim for 3 or 4, even though it was 7. I was with Cliff for like 5 or 6, and it was 10. And then it felt like I was a head coach for about 5 years. A lot of history, a lot of time back, that you start thinking about going back. I think at one time I did the numbers when we hit 600 career wins as a program, which was, probably about 5 or 6 years ago. And Chris Mill and I started adding up the numbers a little bit and figured as a player and as a coach for Jim and Cliff and myself, I'd probably been around for about 250 of the 600 wins, which was pretty neat when you think about it, that about half of the historical wins at Findlay High School, I had been a part of as a player, as a coach. And I was pretty proud of that.
So coaching at Findlay, a lot of years as the head coach or whatever, and I know it's really hard to figure out what was your best game or your favorite game or your favorite team and favorite players, whatever, but if there's one, if you had to sit back and just give a quick 2 minutes about it, or what game sticks out in your mind over those 30 years?
Well, we had a bunch of them. I think back, I'll go back to Jim Caserta. It was maybe 3 or 4 for him. And we had struggled a little bit and had some tough times. And then, at our place, had Fostoria come in. It was the year after they had won a state championship. I know they won a couple years, but they still had some really good players left from that team. And we were kind of struggling. I think it might have been Jim's last year. And we ended up knocking them off at our place, 21-14. And that was just, first of all, a sense of relief for him and for the entire team. But that was just a great atmosphere and a great win. And then you think about Cliff. We had a number of great wins with Cliff when he was here, but playing in a state semifinal game down at Crew Stadium, and the back and forth game it was with Cincinnati Elder, who ended up going and winning the state championship, and we were right there at the end. Went down 14, came back and tied it, back and forth, had to lead in the fourth quarter. Just a great group of kids, and I still consider that 2002 team to be the best team I've ever been a part of, offensively, defensively, just a great group of kids. Those were a lot of fun times. You talked about players. There's one particular player. Obviously, I was coaching when Ben was there, and I was coaching on the defensive side there, and I was a secondary coach, so every day at practice 7-on-7, my goal was to try to stop him or slow him down. And I can't tell you how many times going through a 7-on-7 practice where obviously there's no pass rush. How many times where every single pass is completed against our defense at 7-on-7. That's a 10-15 minute period. Every single pass, that doesn't happen, okay? But for him, every ball right there, and he was so much fun to coach along with Mike Iretti, who I consider the best athlete that's been through Findlay High School, was a receiver for us, played defensive back, could do anything for us on the field. But obviously that was a great time. But my favorite player of all time is Caleb Enright, who was a running back for us back in 2005. A lot of the reason he's my favorite player is because he's not a typical Findlay kid, okay? A little bit, I don't want to say rough, but a little bit rough of an upbringing there. But you talk about pure fear that he could instill on an opposing team. Just as strong, naturally strong as an ox, could run fast, tough. I don't want to say single-handedly, but we had a game here against Cincinnati Boulder at our place where we ended up shocking. It was the third game of that year. Nobody kind of knew if we were very good or not, and we ended up destroying them at our place. And it was one of the most awe-inspiring single-person performances I've ever seen as a running back and receiver. My favorite player.
Yeah, I remember that team. We weren't expected to win the game.
Nope.
Moore came up here to our stadium, Stadium, and just assumed that they were going to walk all over us. We took the opening kickoff down, scored. We kicked off to them. Somebody came around the end on the kickoff and just lit that kid up.
That was the second after we had scored that second time. What I remember was, I can't remember sure thing, but it was Lammers came down and smoked the kid. We got the ball, and I was calling the offense at that time. And I told Cliff during the week, I said, every time we line up with the quads to the right, they're going to get Ryan sideways single coverage over there. We've got to take advantage of it. And the first time they did it, touchdown fade. Later on in the game, they did the same thing, touchdown fade. And what was so neat about that is we had a plan. Moeller's the type of team and program that they feel like they can just line up and they're going to out physical because they just have better athletes. And what was cool about that is that we were able to out scheme them. We had some good players too, but we really out schemed and out coached them that day.
It was pretty impressive that whole entire season.
Yeah, that really kick-started that season. It's really gave the kids a lot of confidence.
So what I did is I kind of put it into perspective of all the different classes and stuff. You have 30 years of coaching with Coach Heidi, and then you're coaching. And I know Findlay has been a consistent 100+ kid a year program. So 30 years of your resume has been working with kids in the Findlay city area, didn't move away like most coaches usually don't coach where they're from. They usually don't last that long, like you said, it's very unheard of. And so when I was talking about wanting to find a community star, your name kept coming to the top because the resume of you being here for 30 years and reaching out and touching the lives of that many people from to send kids to major colleges, even as far as Ben going to Pittsburgh and playing in the NFL is remarkable. I mean, people need to see that because a lot of people just know that Coach Ritzler is a football coach. Well, he's not a football coach, all right? He's somebody who's touched the lives of so many people in the city of Findlay and around it, and other people. And the reason why Coach Hyde's standing over there watching right now, the our athletic director is standing there watching right now, here to congratulate you after the video is over with.
That's why we're here?
Yep, that's why you're here. You didn't know that?
No.
Huh?
I thought this was candid camera.
All right, well, Coach Hyde might be, but, all right?
What I feel, I guess when you talk about it, I just feel fortunate. Okay? Fortunate to be there as long as I've been. And again, sitting here now, knowing how little I knew about being a head coach and how unprepared I was to be a head coach. And now, as you go, like anything, you learn as you go. I'm sure whatever your job is right now, you're a lot better at it than you were when you first started, and so forth.
So putting this together a couple of weeks, it's a couple of quotes that I came across of the guys. Nick Hayden, athletic director, coach is an amazing man who has always been there for kids. He continues to help and develop Findlay athletes, and we truly have been fortunate to have Coach Ritzler. All right, some words from Coach Hyde. He's a genuinely good guy. We laugh about it.
Because he's, I think back, and I was talking to Coach Ireland, Chris, about this. There were a couple of years in there where myself and Chris and a guy named Andy Mangus, and we were all together for a few years, and we had some good teams like we talked about. And I wish I could go back to that because that was so fun. It was so easy. Every day in the office was a blast. Good kids, practices were easy. The kids, you didn't have to micromanage the kids. They got it, they were mature.
Well, good. And I know you're going to be around to help out for many years to come. Obviously, you have a son who's 5.
Yep.
All right. I'm assuming he's probably going to get a little bit about football throughout his life.
I just hope there is football by the time he's old enough to play. The way things, rules and everything are changing now, I hope there is some type of football. But if Joe's not in prison or in HBC, we'll probably have, it may be court ordered to be on the football field as part of his requirement, but he's a little stinker. He's got 4 older sisters, so there's no way that he's going to be a nice, calm kid. He is ornery, he's mean, and he has to be able to survive around here.
It sounds like the 2 boys of mine. They're out there by 5-year-olds.
Yeah, they have no chance. Yeah, that's right.
Girls set them straight. So our community star, my first community star, doing our videos with you, Coach. I want to congratulate you on everything that you've done. Some of the guys are standing up here also. I just sent out a few texts that, hey, this is the video that I'm doing. Feel free to stop in and say hi and congratulations while you are. We got a certificate for you. We've got a gift certificate for you to take you and your wife and your family out. All right, have a night on us. All right, congratulations on the 30 years you've given the city.
Well, I don't feel like I deserve that, but I appreciate all again doing this for the community, and again, all those things you're going to do for the kids at the high school. That's awesome. That's nice.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it.
All right, guys, that wraps up our first community star, Taylor Kia Findlay. Thank you.
And so while I was coaching, I used to tell everybody, all the press, everybody, that I was Findlay football. That I was more Findlay football than anybody ever. And I wasn't even close, because this guy is.
Had you work on some announcing and all that jazz for us, so just truly thank you for all you do.
I appreciate it.
You're a good guy and a good friend, and I know that football program, the athletic department, and the community, so thank you very much for everything you've done.
I appreciate it. I enjoyed it. And I remember talking to you, about football, about getting, what do you think about football? I'm not playing football.
I just want to say thank you because ever since I was a little kid, growing up being a ball boy, I just always wanted to be on the football field coached by you, and just being coached with you was a pleasure. I just want to say thank you.
My office was the messiest office in the world, and Rich used to make fun of me all the time. I had junk everywhere. So I come back after his first year to visit, and he's got junk all over the place. And he said, "I'm sorry I ever made fun of you."
I knew where everything was at.
Well, that's what I said. I knew where everything was at.
See, that was the whole point of of getting you out in 8th grade is to throw the ball to you once in a while, just to get you into it. Yep, give them caught 1 cent.
Caught 1 cent.
There you go.
Might have
So it works.
Might have ran a route or two, but
Yeah, you ran around, but we didn't throw it to you.
Didn't throw it to me.
We always talk about, I know you and I do, about just giving the kids an opportunity to be a part of something that they're proud to be a part of. Okay? Sometimes they're going to win more games than others, but at the end, you want them to something that they look back on and they had fun doing it and enjoy doing it. And that was always my goal, that make sure that they have fun. Appreciate it. And again, if you ever get a head coaching job somewhere, I'm with you. I'm in. I'm in. Thank you.